All right, welcome to Cycling in New Zealand. I'm going to take you through days 31 to 35 as we continue our journey down the west coast. Okay, so basically, I had spent the night in Harihari in a camper van, and at this point, the plan was to continue cycling south, and there's really no other way to go except that we came back and to get to one of the glaciers. And I had decided upon um, Brands, the second one. We'll see it in a few minutes as it comes along. So there are a couple of glaciers in the South Island that you can see. You can do glacier activities like I don't know, climbing up with pickaxes, and it's not really my area of expertise. I kind of wish I knew more about it. It is very touristy, and it is a way to spend a lot of money real fast if you really want to get out there. I sort of feel like, even like the basic day just to walk. Okay, let me just like back up. People have been killed walking on the glacier, and it happened relatively recently before I arrived, mainly through avalanches, I believe, or people falling. So you should not, you're not allowed to walk on the glacier without a professional guide and proper equipment. Now, people do that anyways because, well, there's just a rope there. There's no one really stopping you. And the glacier is a national park, so I don't know if they can legally stop someone from going on it. Having said that, it's just like any other high risk nature activity. If you're not prepared and you don't know what you're doing, your risk is, of course, is going way up, and that's how people have been killed because they didn't know what they were doing, or they didn't have the right guide or the right equipment, or they made, so it's kind of tragic. And I didn't mean start off on a bad note. I just want to say, like, for people that are watching this, that if you go to the glacier and you'll see all the signs, but you need to decide, okay, do you want to spend the money to get out there and actually see it, or do you just want to see it from afar or from a little bit of a distance and not actually be in the middle of the glacier? You'll see those pictures in a few minutes. But so basically, I was going to cycle there, and then spend a few days around there, and then cycle all the way down to kind of like almost the final stop for me on the west coast before cutting west. What you've been seeing are really just sort of your continuation of your coastal roads. It was a pretty hilly day, and you can see here that we're kind of looking down upon something. This is a photo of the bicycle. That's what it is. Yeah, a pretty cool photo of the sun bicycle. That was pretty interesting. Kind of like a bit of a foggy morning. You'll notice in the lines pictures, there's just no one on the road, so we're really kind of out there and in the west coast. This was a picture of a lake I had stopped at. I think I feel like I may have had lunch there. I may have just been cycling by and taken a picture. Either way, it's very beautiful. Here's kind of one of the entrance to where we're going. Waitora. Yeah, I guess that's the main region. Okay, so here is the first town. I think this is Fox Glacier, and I actually passed this and went on to the next one. But I did, while I was kind of just taking a break or walking the bicycle down the street or something, I did take a picture of this sign: open hot pies, soups and pasties. Yeah, so there you have it. So continuing on, some really more beautiful photos. It was a pretty big day on the bicycle physically, and there's some hills getting to the first glacier town, and then to get even onto the second glacier town, it was almost going. I feel like it was just almost going straight up. It was pretty intense. I was tired. It was a full 8 days, 8 hours of cycling. Anyway, so here we are, though. It was Fox Glacier. It was the one when I arrived in, and Okay, so actually here's a picture of me, and you'll see in the distance what looks sort of just like um, snow, but that's actually a bit misleading on what you're because I think the way the picture dynamic works, as you get close up, um, it's basically a massive structure. So what is a glacier? I feel like a glacier is basically how does that work? It's a huge amount of snow and ice packed, and it gets bigger as more comes down, and it gets smaller as as it gets warmer. So they've been getting smaller for a while, I believe. Um, it's still so there it is. Yeah. So basically you can do what I did. Just kind of go down this path before actually getting to the glacier. And actually, if you look here in the bottom right, you'll see that yellow rope, and that's how it's basically saying don't go any farther than that. So yeah, so basically this is about as far as I went. You can see a person up at the top left, and yeah, so you can see that there are people up there, but they would have been with the professional guides. Here's a picture of the town. It's a pretty small town, just a few hundred people, and there's a pretty nice lake nearby. And I forget the name of the lake, but it's kind of famous in I think it's pretty famous in New Zealand. So I kind of walked around it. So I was there for 3 days. I think one day did a glacier activity, one day did cycle to that lake, which was nearby. I may have just taken another day, just really kind of taking it easy. Yeah, so then I continued on. The day, so after being there 3 nights, this was the day would be the longest day kilometer-wise of any day. I think it was 120 or 140 kilometers, and yeah, it was pretty big, and we were trying to get to Haast or Haast. I forget how you say it. So what I did was I left about 7 a.m. in the morning, just before sunrise, had the lights on, started cycling down, and the first 10 or 15 kilometers was downhill, so I was flying downhill, and going through one of these really interesting bridges. Stopped at a sign in the town, had a granola bar, just continuing on. It was really a beautiful day in the morning. Unfortunately, it started raining later that day. And here you can see I have another 67 kilometers to go. Oh, here's another lake I stopped in and had lunch at. Just met a guy there that was having lunch at the table, so we shared the table. This was right before it started to rain, and here it was. As I think this is the last picture I took that day, and then it's suddenly just absolute downpour. So the last 15 kilometers, the last hour, it was not fun. Finally arrived in Haast, and I was really cold and soaking wet, and let's just say I was ready to get there. That last 15 kilometers was not a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I think kind of summarize. Both those cycle days to the glacier town. So the glacier is just right outside the town, but Fox Glacier is the actual town name, and then to Haast. They're both really beautiful cycle days. I think it's considered one of the top cycle rides in the world. Plus, at this time of year, and generally there just isn't a lot of traffic on those roads. So it's almost like you have the road to yourself to a certain extent. Oh yeah, so this has been Cycling in New Zealand, days 31 to 35, and I'll see you next time.